But yeah, first question, what's your conspiracy to change the world?
Oh, wow, that is I wasn't prepared for that. That's a really good question. If anything, just between you and me and nobody else, what I would say is that I feel that, and the public polling, and we'll get into some of these questions I think later, but the public polling is showing that people have lost faith. And 2020 was a tough year for everybody, and 2021 was tough, and 2022 has been tough. And as I'm having children, as I'm like advancing in my career, I'm going, man, this is just not the way this was supposed to work. I just sort of had that like moment where I'm just like, I'm not buying this. And if I'm going to be able to stay in this career, if I'm going to be able to stay in this space, I'm going to have to do it differently. And maybe not so much like that, that everybody was going to do it the way I did it, right? But that the only way I was going to be able to continue to do it is if I was going to do it the way I thought that I had to do it. Mm-hmm. And that comes from my faith or from my experience, a couple of different things. But my conspiracy to sort of change the world is that I think that one of our core values at Terrapin is to love what you do and who you're doing it for. And I think that we love startups. I think America is sort of, driven by startups to a certain extent. And we started to look and go, man, these companies are changing the world. And while everybody is over here chasing, the big companies, right? Everybody wants to work for 3M or Target or, Best Buy here in Minnesota, right? Or some of the larger companies. I said, well, I want to work for the companies that are going to be, those companies in 100 years, in 1,000 years. And stop. So my conspiracy is that we as Americans need to stop thinking about only ourselves and only right now. And the government actions that are taken have ramifications forever in some cases. Using all of our natural resources, space flight, nuclear technology, it doesn't matter. Supersonic flight, artificial intelligence. I mean, these will change history forever. And we've got to stop thinking about it in quarterly earnings reports or how much did I make this week. Start thinking about what world are you creating in 1,000 years, and get over yourself for 5 seconds. And so I said, okay, if that's how I'm going to have to do it, right, to stay in this game and to do it my way. So we take an extremely long view at Terrapin, which can be a little scary sometimes, right? Because you're like, you're a new company and you're like, oh my goodness, Jason's over here talking about 1,000 years from now. But it's like, look, that's how far our vision is. I tell people a lot of times, I don't start thinking until 10 years out, right? It's like, okay, well, what's it going to look like in 10 years? And so that is my sort of conspiracy to change the world is, hey, especially if you have children, but you've got to start thinking 10, 100 years, 1,000 years out and stop thinking 10 seconds out.